Municipal Election Compliance Audit Committee to order at 1:00 p.m. All members are present. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? We have an application for a compliance audit of the 2022 election financial statements for Amy Martin, the mayor of Norfolk County. The application was submitted by Crystal Chop. I will ask the clerk to provide an overview of the application and the process that we will go through in reviewing the application.
Thank you, Chair. An application has been received from Crystal Chop requesting a compliance audit of the 2022 municipal election finances as submitted by Mayor Amy Martin. The Municipal Election Act provides that an elector who is entitled to vote in an election and believes on reasonable grounds that a candidate has contravened a provision of the Act relating to election campaign finances may apply for a compliance audit of the candidate's election campaign finances. This application is based on the contribution to Amy Martin's campaign by her brother Tim Rogers and the claim that a further donation to the campaign was not included in the financial statements of the candidate. The further donation is related to the purchase of domain names for websites that then redirected traffic to Amy Martin's election website. If this is determined to be a donation to the campaign, it would make Tim Rogers' full donation amount exceed the allowable limit of $1,200. If it is considered a donation from a third party, it was not included in the financial statements as such. The application includes a further allegation that campaign expenses were incurred in relation to T-shirt sales for a pseudonym Reg Cutler, and that these expenses were omitted from the financial statements. Today, the Municipal Election Compliance Audit Committee will review the application, as well as hear verbal presentations, first from the applicant, Crystal Chop, then the candidate, Norfolk Mayor Amy Martin. The committee will also hear comments from members of the public that wish to speak to the application. The committee may then go into closed session to deliberate it at that time, and if so, they will reconvene in open session to make their decision in a public open session. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And with that, I declare the public hearing on the CHOP application open. I invite the applicant, Crystal Chop, to come up to the podium to speak on the application. I remind you that there is a 10-minute time limit on presentations. We're pausing for a brief moment to sort out some IT.
Uh, Thank you very much for having me to the committee. Before I begin with my allotted time, I would like to ask the committee for a procedural point of clarification, and I would like that response to form part of public record. After becoming aware that my submission to the committee was not posted alongside the public notice of the meeting, I had reached out to the clerk's department to understand why my submission was not included. I was informed that my submission was in the process of being redacted. Yesterday afternoon, upon becoming aware of the redacted version, I immediately questioned the decision, and the response from the clerk's office was, quote, "The version posted on the county's website with the agenda has been redacted pursuant to legislative requirements and legal advice." These were not minor redactions in my view, and it is important to me that this be noted for the committee and the public, and any possible future legal proceedings that I may pursue, that I did not consent to the redaction, nor do I agree with the redaction. As such, I believe I and the public have a right to understand on the record what legislative requirements are being relied upon and what legal advice is being relied upon by which lawyer, and the decision rendered by whom for this redaction. My assumption would be that it is the Freedom of Information Protection and Privacy Act, also known as MFIPA. And while I'm not entirely confident that the act even applies on its face to my personal complaint that has been submitted to this committee, even if it did, MFIPA permits discretionary exemptions to allow a government institution to decide whether to disclose certain kinds of records. At this point, I am beyond baffled how one individual's name has been released on the record and not others. I'm also not sure on what basis a word has been censured that is posted very publicly on the internet already, and that is not only in the English dictionary, but for years has been permitted on Canadian television and radio and is often heard at the Little Theatre. I have had questions on the matter from members of the public and the media, and again, I feel that I and they have the right to know why this disclosure was limited. There is certainly nothing that remotely bars me from releasing my own documents, so to be clear, I have and I will provide that to the media if asked. And with that, if you could please play the video for me, second slide. No, it's a video. Okay, it's occasion. Yeah, I think we can all take it on. It's a video of my campaign manager that was typing in crystalshop.com and witnessing the direct opening of Amy Martin's website. So I think we can all accept that as fact at this point in time. Anyway, so my segue was I was going to play the video and move on from there, but good afternoon, committee members. I certainly want to start off here by saying I really did not want to be here this afternoon because I knew if I were to raise a question to this committee, I would be subject to another round or rounds of public bashing and personal attacks. And if you read social media, I was right. Other people did offer to file this complaint on my behalf so that I didn't need to take the impending abuse. But the irony of that is really a core issue of this complaint. Doing things but not standing up to be accountable for the actions. Having people in the shadows doing the dirty work while you pull the strings or whisper instructions to them. Our news headlines these days have enough stories about election interference. Mostly, we've read about stories south of the border in the United States and over in Europe. But Canada has not been immune from its fair share of cyber threats either. These are stories that strike at the heart of democracy, and while we typically think of them as targets against higher levels of government, it is clear that these attacks and threats can happen at any level of politics, including right here on home turf in Norfolk County. One may say, oh, this is just sour grapes. The reality is I don't have any aspiration to return to politics. However, as a resident and as a former elected official, I do believe that elections should be about ideas and actions, and that it should not be about cheap games and manipulative tactics. So I have brought this complaint forward to do my part to hopefully ensure that elections in the future are based in good, ethical actions and not "I've got you" games.
Crystal, sorry, I'm going to stop you right there. I just want to remind you that the scope of this committee is financial and not ethics. Thanks.
While I wrestled with the idea of a formal PowerPoint presentation, I believe that my submission to the committee is comprehensive and meets the requisite standard of reasonable grounds. I will provide a few brief comments and then we'll be willing to answer any questions from the committee. The story that I'm sure you are about to hear in moments from the Amy Martin campaign will be that this person or that person was not part of my campaign. To the committee, I have a text message that I will provide you where Martin says the same. Oh, Dennis is not part of the campaign. But yet equally, we have photos of him manning an election booth for Martin in October and mass emails that he was putting out to his contacts soliciting donations for Martin. Martin claims that Dennis didn't sit around the table making decisions about her campaign, but the majority of a campaign team isn't about decision making. That is to the select few. It's about a team of people that implement those decisions, that deliver signs, that attend campaign events, that man campaign booths, that solicit campaign donations. Dennis did all of these things the very same way, in fact, that he did when he was part of my campaign in 2018. That man campaign booths. Then there are the actions of the candidate's own brother, Tim Rogers, who lives in the same small town a mere couple miles away, again claiming he was not attached to the campaign, but effectively undertook significant steps to support the campaign. His own company, Spa Marvel, purchased multiple domain names over a 2-year period, including 2 of which were purchased on July 27th, 2022. 3 days before he made a very unusual contribution of $1,001.87 on July 30th, for which Martin would have had to issue a receipt. Subsequently, Rogers admitted online to having received $1,000 for the domain from a very, very wealthy individual, a post which he very quickly thereafter took down before the charade of changing the web page linked to the campaign domain name began. If they didn't feel they had done anything wrong and they weren't at all connected to the campaign, then why on earth change the website or remove your incriminating posts? Martin's campaign was certainly a family event. Her father drove in the Langton Parade. Her sisters and nieces and nephews were at every event going. Her brother actively bought at least 4 domain names, including prior to and 3 days prior to his financial contribution, spent money out of his own pocket or his company's, as it would appear, to buy multiple domain names. He wore t-shirts around town, he put social media posts up, and just as quickly took them down. He made 3 different changes to a website following the public revelation of the matter, but he wasn't part of the campaign team, or Martin had no knowledge of these activities. The purpose of the committee today, as you know, is simply to establish whether or not there are sufficient reasonable grounds included within my request for an audit that the Martin campaign contravened provisions of the Municipal Elections Act relating to finances for the committee to order that this file proceed to an auditor. I believe that the grounds in my submission itself have been more than established. At the end of the day, domain names were bought that were linked directly to Amy's campaign website, and there was no accounting for it, except for the one very unusual contribution. Other materials that were subject to the debate and campaign were also created and sold during the campaign, and again, no accounting. So in short, I think that the committee has an obligation to send this matter to an auditor to further investigate these actions. If one simply accepts Amy's line, well, that person wasn't part of my campaign team, it opens up the door wide open for manipulation tactics that will continue to damage elections in the future. And although the sanctions may be appropriately weighted, the Municipal Finance Elections Act applies equally, regardless of whether we're discussing a $10,000 transaction or in this case, at a minimum, a single unreported $1,000 transaction. Thank you again to the committee for your time today and your commitment to ensuring a fair election process. And I'm happy at whatever point in time to take any questions.
Thanks, Crystal. At this point, we are going to open the floor for any questions for the applicant from the committee. I would like the record to show that you can ask the applicant directly. You don't have to go through the chair. So if you have any questions for Crystal, you can ask those directly. I'll start. Crystal, could you confirm the date of purchase you have for those website domains?
Yeah, it was actually up on my slide presentation for you. Second. Oh, yeah, so they're all there. We have crystalchop.com. It was registered or created rather registered on January 3rd of 2021. And that was for a 3-year period. Crystalchop.ca was registered for a 3-year period. It was created on October 20th of 2021. Crystalchop.org was registered for a 1-year period. It was created on July 27th, 2022. Again, that's 3 days prior to the Tim Rogers individual contribution. That was registered for a 1-year period. And crystalchop.org was registered on July 27th as well, 2022. So that is during the campaign period again. And that was also registered for 1 year. Those were all registered by a company called Spa Marble.
Yep. Any questions from the committee at this time? Thanks, Crystal. You can be seated. I now invite the candidate Amy Martin, Mayor of Norfolk County, to come to the podium to speak to the application and remind you of the 10-minute time limit.
Hello. Hi, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank you for your time and consideration to the matter and your service to all of our communities. The information presented in the complaint form before us by former mayoral candidate Ms. Chop is a lot to unpack. It alleges that my campaign financials and audited statements are untrue and, from a chartered accounting firm, are not truthful. I stand before you all today just as I stood before Norfolk County's deputy clerk on March 29th, 2023, when I submitted my results, and I publicly state that they are truthful, just as a professional accounting firm has verified. As you well know, it is the job of this committee to make a determination on the accounting of my financials and to make a recommendation to accept them as submitted and audited, or to recommend an additional audit. The rest of the information in this lengthy complaint submission is difficult to relate to the financial review that this committee would undertake. For the record, again, I did not participate in the purchase of domain names or the linking of any website, nor did I accept money or a contribution from Mr. Roger or anyone else as it relates to the webpage. Additionally, I did not create, organize, pay for, buy, sell, or even wear a t-shirt as suggested in the complaint documents besides the ones that directly stated my campaign logo on them, all of which has been properly accounted for and listed as expenses and revenue in my statements. Furthermore, I could not want to distance myself more from the brand that is Crystal Chop. This is not the first time these slanderous and defamatory allegations have been made publicly. The accusation serves, in my opinion, only to shift the focus from the good work of this council, newly elected council and staff, as well as to cause reputational damage to myself. The written submission, in fact, is misleading to the committee and public, as much of it is written as fact. Many of the complainant's allegations are accusatory and false. Example, page 2, and I quote, Amy Martin's failure to disclose $1,000 raises several questions, end quote. I did not fail to disclose. Or in item 1, section 2 of the complainant submission, that by way of issuance of a receipt to Mr. Roger, it is an admission of my or my team's knowledge that the webpage ownership and quote, intent to divert traffic to Ms. Martin's page was known. This is also false. Or in item 2, paragraph 4, and again in appendix A, item 18, when the complainant suggests that in order to link a Wix webpage, someone must have the Wix login details. I'm not an IT specialist, and I'm certainly not prepared to speak on the record today with facts on how this linkage works, mostly because I simply just do not know. However, I will go on the record and state that at no time did anyone receive login information from me for the free Wix website that I created myself. Logic would suggest in the example included in the complainant's package as item number 18 in Appendix A, it would apply if you were adding an external site to a Wix page. That is not what occurred in October. Nothing was ever linked to my Wix page. If the host site is the domain page in question, one would assume that the site login information would be required for the domain name so you could access the settings to make a linkage, not the other way around. But I digress because I'm not an IT specialist and I've never linked a web page. Item 18, Appendix A, is also written as fact in the complainant's document. While I do not dispute that the web page was linked, in fact, I saw it with my own eyes after the complainant and her campaign manager took to their social media, suggesting that I had done so and I had paid $1,000 to do it. I stay committed to the facts and the truth and the messaging I shared on that day in October. I did not do it. To assume that I would be the only individual that didn't want to see former Mayor Chop back in office is absurd. Clearly, there were many others who had interest in change around the county table. 14,271 voters, to be exact, which is 73.55% of the voter turnout this election. I respectfully urge the committee to please use common sense and critical thinking when reviewing the individual's perception of what has occurred. The documents include speculation and a wide range of hunches and theories without proof. What proof is before you today is my audited documents and the complainant's very own attachment number 9 that shows Mr. Roger posting to social media with comments for all to see, and I quote, "As the guy who bought the domain name a couple years ago, can 110% assure everyone, in capitals, that no one and no money from the Martin campaign had anything to do with this. In sum, I ran a campaign on transparency, integrity, and open communication. And while I'd certainly rather be serving my community members instead of defending campaign financials that have received an audit before a committee that will determine if I need an audit, I welcome an opportunity for questions and answers to do just that, communicate openly and transparently. As the former Ward 6 councillor in the 2018 election, I had a campaign submission total of $6,124.80, $3,875.20 under the threshold for a required audit. But I did a professional audit anyways, because it was important to me. This is an accounting exercise. Dollar for dollar, my campaign is accounted for, and my audit states that. We can't say the same about the complainant who did not submit her campaign financials and has not given members of the public the same opportunity that she is receiving here today. I won because my message and style resonated with the voters of Norfolk County. They're smart people and they know what's best for home. I won because after 2 months of traveling around Norfolk County for community events and parades, I began door knocking. Out of 84 door knocking days between August and October 24th, minus the 7 days I sat at the Norfolk County Fair, I had 77 days left to connect with my community. I door knocked 64 of those 77 days. I distributed 30,500 flyers and I walked 414.8 kilometers during this campaign. It's 9.85 marathons, or the equivalent of walking from Port Dover to Toronto, back to Port Dover and back to Toronto again. My point being, I put the work in. I stayed committed to a clean campaign and I never once deviated from my intentions to give Norfolk County what it deserves, and this is not it. I can't comment on the additional information that was provided from Ms. Chop today as I didn't see it beforehand, but I would just like to close and say I'm available for questions. All of my documentation is here today, as is the audit, which I received, which you also have, and I'd like to thank you for your service.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the candidate from the committee at this time? Okay, I have a couple. Just for clarification, for those in the public who may not have seen the documents that were submitted, could you clarify just the relationship between you and Tim Rogers?
Yes, Tim is my biological half-brother. He's 18 years older than I am.
And did
Share the same father, separate mothers.
And did Tim ever work for your campaign?
according to Ms. Chop's definition of work for the campaign, yeah, I believe he shared social media posts. He had my lawn signs. He was never a part of any messaging with my team, meetings. He didn't volunteer in my booth. He didn't help me door knock. He didn't drive me in a parade float. So if you had asked me if he was on my team, I would say no. However, he did do some of the things that Ms. Chop has mentioned.
Perfect. And there was no money from your campaign paid to Tim to purchase the website domain names?
Absolutely not. None.
Works. Just for clarification, the applicant seems to indicate that there's a $1,000 transaction that has transpired. I'm not really clear as to whether it was revenue donated to your campaign, $1,000 spent by your campaign. Can you add any clarification to that and any relationship to these web domain sites?
Sure. Thank you for the question. I believe what you were referencing, and I believe the candidate was trying to reference, a post that Mr. Roger put online stating that he received $1,000 to lease out the CHOP domains. So this is me speculating because I am not Mr. Roger and I am not the owner of the domain page or the leasee of the page. I believe that Ms. Chop is alleging that I should be in receipt or should be listing the $1,000 as a third party contributor to my campaign. And my argument is that money did not cross my account. I did not spend money, and I do not know who did spend the money. If the money was spent at all, I would be kind of speculating further than that. But I believe that's what the allegation is. There additionally is a donation from Mr. Roger to my campaign. That's the 1,001 and some odd cents, that dollar. Again, I'd be speculating as to why that dollar value came in. I didn't physically accept the check from him. It was given to a team member who was working at a table at the day. So I would be speculating as to the reason for that figure. But I'm told he wanted to stand out on my financials.
Just to add to that question and to that answer, the $1,001 and so many cents was an actual check to your campaign that was cash put into your bank account for elections and was not a donation in kind or anything like that. It was actual
Correct.
Money transfer.
Money transferred listed as such in the documents, correct.
I just want to further clarify that it was a check in his personal name or in the corporation name?
Personal name.
Just a question as to when did you first become aware that this had happened?
I first became aware that the page had actually been linked after, I can't recall the exact date, but I think it's in the complainant submission. I think it's October 21st. I came home from door knocking, immediately walked in my office where I tracked my kilometers and location every day, and my phone had blown up with messages. So that was when I saw it, when I became aware. I do believe, to be fully transparent, that I knew that the web page had been circulated to other things, not my page prior, but I couldn't give you a date and I couldn't tell you how I became aware of that.
Sorry, I was kind of more concerned about when your brother took this action to establish these various domains. When did you become aware of that?
Oh, I couldn't, I'd be speculating. I don't know. Not prior to taking money from him, certainly. I think it was when I heard that the pages were circulating, but I never picked up the phone to have a conversation to verify that with him. And I know that that may seem strange, but that's not the type of relationship we have. So I couldn't give you a specific date as to when I became aware.
So after you found out about this and became aware, what action did you take with respect to that particular item?
I specifically called my sister, unrelated to the domain page. I was very upset. I was mad at the allegations. I was nervous because it was very close to the election date that people were going to read what was circulating on Facebook as fact. And she said to me, "Did you do it?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Well, then tell people you didn't do it." And so I went online. I made a video on my social media handles stating I didn't do it. That is also included in the complainant submission. There's a screenshot of that in your package. And that was the extent of my involvement.
Just a further question on the financial part. There seems to be something in the applicant submission talking about T-shirts and donations and something going on. Is there anything else that you're aware of besides what you've reported in your financial statements?
No, there is no involvement from myself, financially or otherwise, in relation to those T-shirts. Absolutely not. I took the time to record every single purchase that I made because I had to reorder T-shirts for my campaign. It's included in my documentation. The sales of the T-shirts included as revenue in my documentation, and those are all related to my campaign T-shirts that I had a logo printed on.
Can you just clarify what those campaign T-shirts said or depicted?
Sure. Yep. Absolutely. Great question. They were a variety of white and blue unisex T-shirts. They were plain on the front, and on the back it had a Martin for Mayor logo that had various Norfolk County topography on it. That is also listed in my expenses on my campaign because I had a local artist design the logo for me, and that was it.
You got a independent audit report done on your financials. Which audit firm did you?
Millards.
And do you have any relation to Millards?
Just professional. Actually, one of the partners I do sit on a board with now. However, it's a professional relationship, and that is the same accounting firm that I used in 2018 when I ran. So it was for consistency. I stayed with the same process and the same firm.
Perfect. Thanks. Any other questions from the committee at this time? Thank you. We're going to move on with public speaking or registered speakers or deputations from the public. I will note that there are no registered speakers. However, if there are any comments from the public regarding the application, if you would like to speak to the application only, you can please come to the podium one at a time, state your name for public record, and then ensure that the comments are directly related to the application, and that can start now.
For the record, my name is Dennis Trevally, past mayor of Norfolk County from 06 to 14, 8 years. I'm not sure what nefarious or illegal reference was made when the Miss Chop made her presentation. I did what I did for Miss Chop. I did for Amy. And that is use my personal email to help her out. Who wants to donate? Who will donate? I was not an official member of her team, although I helped as much as I could. So if there is an insinuation, I would really like the committee to delve into that and tell me what that insinuation is, if it's anything that she thinks I did illegally. But I can tell you, having run for mayor in 2000 and lost, run for council in 2003 and lost, I wasn't going to run again. I was going back to Ottawa to work. But Mrs. Kalmbach, mayor of the time, decided she wasn't running. My doorbell rang, my phone rang, and I gave up quite a healthy contract in Ottawa to run for mayor here. Fortunately, I won. My wife wasn't all that happy about it, I'll tell you. But you know, that's my point. Why mention me? Because I can tell you what I did for Miss Chop. I did a lot more for Miss Chop than what I did for Miss Martin, the mayor of Norfolk County today. And if you're interested in t-shirts, I bought one of those black t-shirts. No word of vote on it. No word of any candidate on it. It's a person who, I don't do Facebook since I lost the election at 14. But it came to my attention, this person, whoever he or she may be, Reg Cutler, lived in the head of Crystal Chop. And people saw that on social media and offered up some t-shirts for sale that had "I'm Reg Cutler" or "I am not Reg Cutler" type stuff. And that was it. So, and it was not Amy Martin or anybody close to Amy Martin that was selling those t-shirts. I can assure you of that. Brent, question?
Any questions from the committee? Thank you.
Apologize for my extreme casual dress. I didn't intend to speak today, but I am retired.
Nice. Thank you. Any other comments from the public? I would also like to offer this up to any member of the public that is watching online and would like to comment. If you would like to comment, you can email clerks, CLERKS, at norfolkcounty.ca to have staff provide the meeting login information. You will be joined via Microsoft Teams, and you're able to raise your hand online if you would like to speak as well. So that would be emailing clerks at norfolkcounty.ca for anyone online interested in speaking today. We'll wait a moment to see if anybody from online would like to speak. I see no further members of the public wishing to provide comments, and I will now declare the public hearing of the application closed. The committee will now proceed into closed session to deliberate on the matter. Thank you. Before we head out, can we get a motion to go into closed session? Andy first, second. Thank you. Closed session that will now begin at 1:40 p.m. and that is in accordance with section 88.33, 5.1 of the Municipal Elections Act.
Welcome to Passionate Folks, a blog and video series about the people of Norfolk. It's about people that have high energy, that get involved in their community. We sit down, have a conversation, learn about their passions. Welcome to the next episode. Hello, I'm Emily. Welcome to Passionate Folks. I love to ask questions and discover people's passion and having great conversations. So today I'm here with Nick. Hi, Nick.
Hi.
Might be you here, might be you invited me to you a great place. I got to know you a little bit more today, but I'd love you to tell us a little bit more about you.
Sure. So I'm Nick Cranks. I was raised in Langton, and I live in St. Williams now.
So Norfolk County boy.
Yeah, Norfolk County boy. Yeah. If you're gonna put a location on it, and if you're asking someone where you're from, this area, you always say Norfolk County. Unless you're from Port Dover.
Did you say Port Dover?
Then you say Port Dover for some reason.
I invited you to pick a place. So tell us where we are and why you decided to invite me here.
So we're at where I work, Blueberry Hill Estates, which my family owns as well too. This is where I spend probably my entire day every day of the year. So we're located on the patio here, and we basically are overlooking the patch. And you probably cannot see from the camera because it's on the other side of the camera, but the lake is just on the other side.
I love to hear about people's passion, and I know you have a lot of projects going on, and I want to dig further into your passion. So what do you think really stands out for you? What are you really passionate about?
So day in, day out, I'm typically making wine or working the field, so that's something I'm really passionate about. I'm also the president of the Ontario South Coast Wineries and Growers Association, which encompasses Norfolk along with other neighboring counties. And so I'm really passionate about trying to raise awareness of this area for growing grapes and making world-class wines.
And so winemaking, like what draws you to it? Why are you making your whole life right now? And why winemaking in Norfolk County?
Well, I guess you could say it's one of the best agricultural products you can make.
I agree.
It's something that you can preserve, and like even after the crop finished, you still have to work with the crop that you were working out in the field all year round. And when you put it in a glass of wine, you have memories of how that year was when that wine was made.
So it sounds like you spend a lot of time on this farm, a lot of time on this like part of Norfolk County, but if you have time to de-stress, where would you go? What do you do in Norfolk?
I definitely like going to the beach. So, getting out in the water when it's a hot day is truly nice.
Not too far from Turkey Point, I guess. You can roll down the hill.
Yeah, we got excellent restaurants here too, so which is pretty amazing for the per capita, the amount of people that live in Norfolk County, that we have enough restaurants that you can count them more than your two hands or whatever, which is
really
nice.
Good ones too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's so exciting to see how our agro-tourism industry is developing in our area, and it's kind of cool to see you guys like working together and really promoting this area.
Well, when you think about farming from what it was in the past, it has to evolve over time though to make it an industry that can support itself. It allows people to be able to figure out ways to succeed or have succession in their family, to go to that next generation, so that way we can have countless more generations of those families living in Norfolk County, growing the things that their grandparents grew.
And keeping the passion alive.
Exactly, yeah.
I thank you so much for your time, Nick. I thank you for inviting me in this beautiful place. I cannot wait to explore some more. And
It's too bad it's not pizza day.
No, I heard that was really good. I'll come back. I'll be back. Thanks, Nick.
No worries. Cheers.
Soon after, members of council and I took our seats right here in council chambers last November, we began to plan the direction we'd like to see Norfolk County take over the next 4 years and beyond. A direction that builds on our strengths and sets a strong foundation in place for future generations. We looked outward to the people of Norfolk for input. We listened to you, the valued members of our community, from our sandy lake shores, our vibrant downtowns, our picturesque countryside, and our bountiful farmland. We engaged leaders from local businesses and community agencies. We gathered ideas from our team across the county. Based on what we've heard, we created Our Future Norfolk, a set of priorities that focuses on 5 key areas: empowering Norfolk, building Norfolk, connecting Norfolk, serving Norfolk, and sustaining Norfolk. These priorities, along with the initiatives and activities that drive them, will guide council and staff as we work together to serve you and all of the members of our community over the next 4 years. On behalf of Norfolk County Council and staff, we invite you to check out our website at norfolkcounty.ca/ourfuturenorfolk and return frequently to learn more about our path to a vibrant and strong future for all of us, now and in the years to come.
Ride Norfolk is making it easier to get around Norfolk County. You can now book your ride by downloading the free Blaze Transit app on Google Play or the App Store on your iPhone. To get started, create an account and select Ride Norfolk as the transit operator. Select your location and your departure or arrival time. Make sure to check the schedule beforehand so your trip will be accepted. Trips can be booked 45 minutes to 7 days in advance. Pay for your trip using debit or credit in the Blaze Transit app. You can also book online at ride.blazetransit.com or by contacting Ride Norfolk customer service. For more information, visit norfolkcounty.ca/Ride Norfolk app or call our office at 519-428-3178. Ride Norfolk is going your way.
What if there was a place just outside the hustle and bustle, where the beauty of nature was right at your doorstep, inviting you to join in the fun?
Good job, guys. Got it.
What if there was a place where the landscapes were as diverse as the bounty they produced? And the term field fresh was more than just a marketing ploy. It was a way of life. What if there was a place where history and heritage shared the stage with technology and innovation, and success happened without much fanfare, on back roads, nurtured by wise and hardworking people? What if there was a place as lush as an ancient garden that was, for centuries, a place to explore, live, and play? A place of promises and hope. A landscape filled with possibility. And what if this wasn't just a place to escape to, but a place you could settle into? What would you call such a place? Well, we call it Norfolk County.
Welcome to episode 6 of Passionate Folks. This is a blog and video series about the people of Norfolk. We sit down, have a conversation, hear about their passion and what lights them up. I'm excited to introduce the next guest. Welcome to Passionate Folks. My name is Emily. I love to connect with people, having some conversation and learning about people's passion. Today I'm sitting here with Sue. Hey Sue.
Yeah, you bet.
I'm so glad that you took the time to come out and have a conversation with me.
Well, thanks for asking me.
Yeah, so for people that don't know you, can you start with introducing yourself, where you live, where you're from, and a little bit more about you?
Okay, sure. My name is Sue Downs. I live in Simcoe, born and raised here. And I work for the Simcoe Reformer newspaper and started there way back in 1988. So, and loved my job, loved Norfolk County, and was really pleased that Emily asked me to be part of this. I think.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Yeah, so far, so good.
Great. So, as always, Sue, I ask a guest to pick a location so we can explore it and discover a hidden gem in Norfolk County. And this one is a little bit different. So, tell me where we are and why you brought me here.
So, we're at Norfolk County Fair. We're at the bottom of the Junior Farmers Building here.
So, why do you pick the fair? What's so special about the fair to you?
I think for myself, Norfolk County Fair is like one of the largest events that happen in Norfolk County every year. It's always been near and dear to my heart. Like I think so many childhood memories. It's all about tradition. For us growing up, at my age, I've only missed one fair in all of my years, and that was when I was in Timmins. So I just love the fact that you can come to the fair. There's so much excitement. There's always lots of things to see and do. Like family would come home during Thanksgiving weekend, and I think that still happens today, right? Like it's all about tradition and all about community, which I feel like I'm pretty passionate about.
Yeah, so we're just going to ask you a little bit more about your passion. I see you a lot being involved in the community and supporting local businesses, and it seems like it's really important to you and close to your heart.
I like to promote local as much as possible. So whenever we go out for dinner, a lot of people will go, do you ever stay home? Because you'll constantly see posts on social media, on Facebook or on Twitter, and it's like, you know, we're at the Barrel, we're doing this, we're at Long Point Eco Adventure, we're, you know.
It's so good that you're taking the time to promote those local businesses and support. And I remember when I started my business, you were one of the big supporter of sharing what I was doing. And I know a lot of people have felt the love that you give to entrepreneurs. So I want to thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome. But it does make you feel good. And it is important. I feel that, you know, if we can, you know, support each other as much as possible, like it's again, it's all about giving back.
So Norfolk County and specifically Simcoe has changed quite a lot. We are moving in a different direction in our county. So from you like growing up in Simcoe and in the downtown and what's happening around now, like what's the highlights for you?
Okay, well, the highlight growing up was always, you know, going downtown on the weekend. People that are watching this that are my age would remember you used to be able to go to the Tartan restaurant and Woolworths and different places down there. But I think a lot of the exciting thing that I see now is a lot of the collaborations that are happening within Norfolk County. And one that stands out is, you know, Burning Kiln and then Long Point Eco. And then along came, you know, my buddy Dusty and the guys from Hometown Brew. And then now Joy Cafe out there. So it's really cool to see a lot of the business people working with each other and stuff like that too. So that sort of stuff.
You don't have to go too far. You show up there and everything that you love is right there.
It's like a lot of renewed, you know, it just seems like a lot of positive things are happening within our community, and it's really good to see.
So I know you have a pretty high stress job. So maybe tell me a little bit more about what you do to relax, calm down, and look after yourself.
Okay, well, I do like to garden. I find that, you know, if you're kind of stressful and it's a stressful day, you get out there and take it out on all the weeds in your garden. I also like to, you know, walk along the trail from Davis Street and then head out along the 14th or whatever. And you can, like, it's heading right towards Waterford, so you can actually walk from there right into Waterford. I've got a dog that keeps me pretty busy, and then a group of like really good friends that we are going out with each other like all the time and stuff like that.
I know you have a lot of favorite spots in Norfolk, so we already named a few, but if you have a day off and you want to explore Norfolk County, is there one specific place that you actually love to visit that you feel just at home?
I would say for myself, it depends on the day. So if it's just something that I want to go and like, you know, do a walk or whatever, it would be my trail on the 14th because it is kind of private. There's not, you do run into a lot of the same people and stuff like that. I also like going down to Dover, and I'll sit at the cafe and kind of look around there.
You can watch a little bit?
Yeah, you know, that sort of stuff, and then even take off and go to the pier. Actually, my mom has a bench there for my grandfather, who was a fisherman down in Port Dover as well too. So it's kind of nice.
Memorial benches.
Yeah.
Cool. It sounds like pretty much everything you need is right here.
Why should I go out of town? Why do I need to go out of town? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff here that, you know, right in Norfolk that we need. Yeah.
I'd love to hear your passion for Norfolk and how well you support the local businesses and just, I see you at fundraiser and you're always involved in your group of friends and supporting whatever is happening in the county. So we need more of you, Sue, and Norfolk. So thank you so much for joining me today and having this little chat. I'd love to get to know you better and hear more about your passions.
Well, thanks very much for allowing me the opportunity. It was great. Thank you.
I am Tom Pursley. I work at Titan Trailers. I manage the shop and design, build, program robot cells on the floor to hand off to operators to build trailer components and assemblies. I knew I always wanted to work with my hands growing up as a kid. I never wanted to be stuck behind an office doing paperwork for the rest of my life, and it really interests me to build something and see the final result when you're done.
My name's Angela Simon and I work for Annex Business Media. We are a trade magazine publisher. We produce 65 trade magazines for a diverse industries, so everything from aviation to firefighting to design engineering, manure. We have a very diverse set of magazines that we produce. I'm the production manager and I oversee the creative department in 2 divisions in Simcoe and in Toronto. We have 14 designers that lay out and design the magazines. When I started in this industry probably 26 years ago, everything was hand done. Now everything's so automated, done on the computers, and that's probably been the biggest change for me.
My name's Phil Wiersma and I work for Rasson Services. We're an industrial contracting company, so we do some custom fabrication and mechanical and electrical installations and repairs. We've built large pump skids for the oil sands out west. We've done some major factory overhauls and expansions. We do some fairly large jobs for a fairly small company. I've always liked to take things apart and put them back together, and so this is just another stepping stone.
My name is John Brock Picard. I'm 20 years old and I work at Ramblin' Road Brewery Farm. Here we make 8 different kinds of Picard's Extreme kettle chips. It's all on one line. The potatoes come in from the farm and we put them in through the hopper. They get cleaned and they go through a grading table where I inspect them and cut off all the rotten spots, pick out the bad ones. And then they go through up to the cutter. They're cut into kettle chip size and they're fried and salted. I guess the best part about my job would be the sampling. When the fresh potato chips come off the line, nothing beats them.
I think young people should be strongly considering a career in manufacturing. Skilled trades, there's always going to be a large demand for that, and they're high-paying jobs. The actual job is getting better as the new technologies come into play.
The skills you need to do my job would be definitely graphic design, computer skill. If you have any kind of video or inclination to do video or any of that kind of stuff, or web design, that's also a huge asset for what we do.
I would say if you like to take things apart and put things back together, or build things from scratch, or if you have even a creative mind, manufacturing is a good way to go.
Welcome to Passionate Folks, a vlog and video series about the people of Norfolk. People that are involved in our community, people that bring a lot of energy. So this is about a conversation, this is about their story. So welcome to episode 3. Welcome to Passionate Folks. I'm Emily. I love to dig in people's lives, ask questions, and learn about people's passion. Today I'm here with Adam. Hi, Adam.
Hi, how are you doing, Emily?
Great. I'm happy that you're here, taking the time to sit down with me today. So I've known you for a little bit, small community, but people that don't know you. Tell me a little bit more about yourself.
So my name's Adam Van Passen. I grew up here in Norfolk County. I was born onto a farm and I got to work on that farm growing up, which was a great learning experience. From a young age, I got to understand what hard work was and what it was to be close to nature. So that was very cool for me. Growing up like that, my dad also was a counselor for Haldeman, Norfolk, and he had a big part in shaping what is today Norfolk County. So I got to see that, and watching him and experiencing him work through that really sparked an interest in me for the county and what it could become.
Great. So not like the typical kids. We hear most high schoolers like just ready to get out of their hometowns and go explore the city and something else, and it doesn't sound like that's your story.
Not at all. I heard a lot of kids saying that they wanted to move on to bigger, better things, and I just really didn't have that feeling. I always thought the biggest, best things were here in Norfolk to start.
So I ask you to pick a location today, and you bring me to a place that I don't know very well in Norfolk. So tell me about where we are and why you picked it.
This is a very cool spot. I know a lot of people drive by it, maybe on their way to Long Point or into Port Rowan, but this is Boose Harbor. So I grew up on Boose Harbor. My best friend, his family owned this place. So I grew up here hanging out, relaxing, boating, going out fishing, going out hunting. I worked here for a while. I did some volunteer work for the Shriners Club here, doing some chicken barbecues. So I really got to experience Norfolk and how community comes together. There's a lot of people that take up their summer residence here in trailers, and it's very cool to see all these people that are coming from other places in Ontario to enjoy what Norfolk has to offer. So it's just very cool to see that and experience it. One very cool fact about this place is that Boose Harbor has the largest amount of indoor boat storage on boathouses for all of the world.
The world?
Yes.
Wow, that is crazy. This little place.
Yes, absolutely.
Very cool. Something to be proud of.
I would absolutely say so.
So we've been talking about nature, and we spend lots of time outside. You bring me to a boating place where you like to fish and spend time. So tell me about your passion. Obviously there's a connection somewhere there.
Yes, absolutely. Especially recently with everything that I've been seeing happen in the world, I'm very passionate about the earth. So I want the earth to be a good place. I want Norfolk County to be a good place. Everything that I love about Norfolk has to do with outside, has to do with nature, has to do with clean water, clean air, fresh trees, everything. So I just really think it's important to take care of everything that we have here in Norfolk County, and it's not an easy thing to do. So
no, we all have to start and do our part. That's the thing, right?
Absolutely, and I'm doing my best, but it does get very difficult. It's easy to make the change, it's just hard to start.
So we were talking earlier about, doing things around Norfolk and visiting places. I know you're a busy guy, like you work, you're a volunteer firefighter. So what do you do to de-stress and relax?
I would say my number one most favorite thing to do to de-stress would be to just get out on Lake Erie. Whether that's ice fishing, boating, swimming, relaxing. It's just such an amazing place. As soon as you get out on Lake Erie and you get away from shore a little bit, you just come out to this different zone.
Other than this place, like where else do you like to visit in Norfolk County? Where else? What's one of your other favorite spots?
I would say that my favorite spots in Norfolk County would have to be broken into two categories. One is nature, being Lake Erie, boating, all of that kind of fun outdoor stuff. And I also like Norfolk's bounty. Before, maybe you had to go out to a place far away to enjoy all of this beer, wine, food, amazing service, but now we can just go out the back door, and before I can drive for 10 minutes, I found something that I can go to locally that's amazing.
Couple winery on the way here.
Yeah, it has passionate folks in it doing things. Like, it's just great. All around here, there's so many amazing things you can do, and it's just growing, so I love seeing that.
I thank you so much for your time. I love your connection with nature and what you want to do as far as your passion with the environment. I'm in line. We need to come together for this to happen, so hopefully we can inspire a few people with this little conversation here. So
absolutely.
Thanks, Adam.
Cool. Thank you very much.
We'll
for
see
your
you
time.
soon.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 7 of Passionate Folks. This is a blog and video series about the people who live right here in Norfolk. I sit down with them, have a conversation, ask them about their stories, their passions. I'm excited to present the next guest. Welcome to Passionate Folks. I'm Emily. I love to ask questions and get to know people better. Today I'm here with Dan. Hey, Dan.
Hey there, how are you?
Great.
Excellent.
Might be you stop by for coffee?
Yeah, well, nice of you to have me. I'm really delighted.
So we already had a good chat, but for people that don't know you, can you tell us a little bit more about you, where you live, and what you do?
Yeah. My name's Dan Fewings, and I was a Simcoe boy, an SCS grad growing up. From 0 to 18, I lived in Simcoe. And then I think I lived in Brantford for a year, lived in Dover for a bit, and then followed a gal up north to Peterborough, or Lindsay, and I ended up spending 28 years there teaching high school. Loved every minute of it. A bunch of different experiences. And when I retired in 2014, I thought, my ma's not doing so well down there. It's going to need some attention. And also followed a friend here, and bingo. And now I live just outside of Simcoe, in between Simcoe and Victoria on Highway 24.
Great. I'm so glad you took time to have this little chat. I want to know more about you today, and I'm going to have you asking some questions.
Yeah.
But first, I ask you to pick a spot that means something to you in Norfolk. So maybe start by telling us where we are and why you picked this place.
Well, I love this place, not only for the food, although in my new machination I'm more careful what I eat, so I only have one crepe a week. But I love this place because Jim and Penny, the owners, are good friends. They've hired me to play here. They give the artists freedom to be a little zany here. They're good to their staff. They run a good ship. And I love the outside in the summer. It's rocking. They do a great job getting lots of music in. I think they have music all July, August, and September, like a whack of things. And I also, a few neat experiences sort of got born out here. I have a character, I do the song chef, and they were like the first ones to say, oh, you've got to come in and do it. So.
I love what you're talking about, like you're involved in so many things into your retirement that you seem to really enjoy the art. Is that the main thing you're passionate about, or?
Well, I like joy spreading, and the most rewarding thing I think I do is my gal Rosie and I, after we had a trip to Newfoundland, and after I did a tour of Newfoundland, we picked up on the kitchen party notion, and so we have a little duet called the Kitchen Party Orchestra, and we go to the seniors' homes and the respite center in Hagersville and Simcoe, and we give them the folks their instruments to play with us, so they're part of it. They're getting some exercise, and that is joy spreading 101.
So spent a lot of time away from Norfolk, decided to come back to Norfolk in your retirement. So tell me, if you don't have a gig, if you're not involved in something, what do you do to hang out, to relax? Where do you like to go?
Well, I love the geography, so I always like going down to one of the many shores, while they still exist.
Yes, Port Mercy's a little small this year.
Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah. I love, and
are you a beach guy, or?
Not in the summer, I'm not, but I am, sort of going to the water for answers kind of a guy. Okay. You know what I mean? Yep. The Leonard Cohen dimension. And so Long Point was always hugely special as a kid, I spend a lot of time at the Simcoe Little Theater. That's a great organization, and they're doing fun and they're welcoming, and so I'm going to play coming up that I'm doing. And
you don't seem to have too much downtime, you seem to keep pretty busy.
Keeps me out of the housework, that's for sure.
Out of the ocean.
He's all busy making some ass right now, sewing,
Yeah.
And so.
Is it hard to get artists to come and play here, or? Are they curious about wanting to see Norfolk and see what
and you know what? More people, house concerts are amazing too. And I was never a musician on the road. I did 2 1-month tours with a student, and I had a buddy of mine, Jimmy Boskill, who was a student of mine. And he said, "When you retire, we're going on tour." My son is in a band, the May Hemingways, so he traveled lots east. So he booked us from Peterborough to Newfoundland, 24 gigs and 26 nights. Both, but you make, as a musician, you make way more at a house concert and play more concerty, less with people listening. No. People love to play, right? So oftentimes people think you need the applause as much as you need the money. No. And many people are lined up. So it's you don't want to do it? That's okay. I've got Tiny Talent Time and his brother here that'll play for you, and so people, that's why it's so nice to be in a place like this where that their entertainment budget is a really significant amount of money. And there are a lot of places in town here. The 211 does it as well. Even the Norfolk has a whack of music, and it's getting bigger around here with all the with the craft beer industry, the wine industry. All those places are looking for some entertainment to get their clients in. So I think it's it's going to be significant. It's just a tricky game.
So music, obviously a big part of your life?
It is a big part of my life, yeah. I think I started when I was 13. My brother handed me a John Prine album, the very first one with him sitting on the hay bale and a guitar, and showed me the C, F, and G chords, and I never had a lesson after that.
You just learned on your own?
I just learned on my own. Guitar has, and stringed instruments often have tablature. Yep. Especially ones that have frets, so it's a grid really, so they can it's easy on notation to put a number 1 on a 1, you're at the first, so it's an easier system. But what happened was I was working in the teachers union. I had been seconded out of teaching for a couple of years. The head of music was leaving to become a minister, and he said, Dan, can you teach kids how to play guitar? And I said, absolutely. And I said, now Larry, I don't read music, right? You don't? And I said, no, but I'll buy tablature. So at any rate, made it work. And down the road it was funny because Jimmy Boskill, who was a wizard player, doesn't read music either. He had auditioned for this art school, and I was sitting at me, they weren't going to let him in because he didn't read music. And I said, I should let you folks know, as you know, I don't read music, and I said, if you're not letting this kid into the program, give me 2 weeks notice, because I'm not gonna be the guitar teacher that wouldn't take him in. So you gotta keep it moving.
Is that one of your favorite instruments? Like?
Yeah, this is, it's a Latin instrument. It comes from like the Andes,
Okay.
so Bolivia, Peru, Ecuador, Chile. It's usually used in like, but then I found, being sort of a folky dokey player too, it's like a good bluegrass instrument too, and it's like in the day and age of cutbacks, when the bluegrass bands start firing the banjo player and the mandolin player, you get both with one.
You show up with this one, you're good.
Yeah.
You're good at drumming gig.
That's right.
Perfect.
And this is a charango, and it is higher up. So I started with one of these. And then I'm a big fella, so it's,
Yeah.
and you don't need that strap that sticks right in your belly button. Like you couldn't peel that off with a crowbar.
All right, so you do some improv.
I do. So like, give me a title to a song never before written. It can be anything.
Let's go with the Bikini Crepe, I guess.
Bikini Crepe?
We're here, the Crepe House.
Well, it's more appropriate on a day like today to not sing about martini. So let's think while we're in the land of sand about a crepe martini. No pina colada beside you now. No, it's done somehow. Here comes the customer now. He's probably gonna order the crepe bikini. Now the thing about the bikini crepe, it's teeny weeny, it's how they make it. I'm not sure if it's a Speedo sauce, but it's nice all the same. It's teeny weeny, but it's my favorite, that old crepe bikini. Yes, sirree, I think he's making me one now. And it might be true that you can't wait for your bikini crepe, but that's okay. Got time on my hands. Right on.
All right, cheers, Sam.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining me. Have a coffee. That was
Absolutely.
awesome.
Right on.
Love it.
Good. Thank you very much. Great. See you later. Thanks, Drew.
Great,
guys. No, it's not possible. No, I cannot tell you what to say.
Soon after, members of council and I took our seats right here in council chambers last November, we began to plan the direction we'd like to see Norfolk County take over the next 4 years and beyond. A direction that builds on our strengths and sets a strong foundation in place for future generations. We looked outward to the people of Norfolk for input. We listened to you, the valued members of our community, from our sandy lake shores, our vibrant downtowns, our picturesque countryside, and our bountiful farmland. We engaged leaders from local businesses and community agencies. We gathered ideas from our team across the county. Based on what we've heard, we created Our Future Norfolk, a set of priorities that focuses on 5 key areas: empowering Norfolk, building Norfolk, connecting Norfolk, serving Norfolk, and sustaining Norfolk. These priorities, along with the initiatives and activities that drive them, will guide council and staff as we work together to serve you and all of the members of our community over the next 4 years. On behalf of Norfolk County Council and staff, we invite you to check out our website at norfolkcounty.ca/ourfuturenorfolk and return frequently to learn more about our path to a vibrant and strong future for all of us, now and in the years to come.
Ride Norfolk is making it easier to get around Norfolk County. You can now book your ride by downloading the free Blaze Transit app on Google Play or the App Store on your iPhone. To get started, create an account and select Ride Norfolk as the transit operator. Select your location and your departure or arrival time. Make sure to check the schedule beforehand so your trip will be accepted. Trips can be booked 45 minutes to 7 days in advance. Pay for your trip using debit or credit in the Blaze Transit app. You can also book online at ride.blazetransit.com or by contacting Ride Norfolk customer service. For more information, visit norfolkcounty.ca/Ride Norfolk app or call our office at 519-428-3178. Ride Norfolk is going your way.
My name is Jim Toombs. I'm an Associate Purchasing Specialist here at Toyotetsu, also known as TTCA. Here at Toyotetsu, we're responsible for supplying Toyota with car parts, mainly automotive frame for the Lexus, the Corolla, and other Toyota models. I started here in May of 2016. I was in welding. Here I am 2 years later, and I'm a salaried position. The job itself it's challenging. There are challenges in what I have to do every day, and for that I enjoy it. It's not monotonous day in, day out. There's new challenges that I'm confronted with and new tasks that I have to do. A high school student who's like, I'm not sure, I think this is an excellent opportunity to kind of answer that question for themselves. They can see what kind of the working world is like, as well as pick up skills. There are plenty of opportunities here. For example, for me, I was in welding, but that didn't mean I had to stay there. There's opportunities in stamping, where you'd learn different skills entirely. PC, again, the same thing, some different skills needed that you'd learn. Though we make car parts and they're welded, there are a lot of departments and areas that support that.
My name's Aaron Pace. I'm a yard manager here at Townsend Lumber. We're a sawmill that produces lumber. We make anywhere from rail ties to timber frame home products, kiln-dried lumber, which is used for wood cabinets.
We will now reconvene in open session at 2:24 p.m. The committee has made the following decision, that the application is hereby dismissed. I need a mover. Committee Member Streisfeld, and a seconder. Committee Member Unruh, to adopt the decision. Any discussion? All in favor? The motion is carried. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 2:25 p.m.? Committee Member Kaufman, and a seconder. All in favor? The motion is carried. Thanks, everyone.